Islam, everyone. Assalamu alaikum. Veda Makam. Man, we have a good one for you tonight. It is wonderful to be here. I thank everyone for tuning in. Shamalakai Bey and Abdullah Il Mosi Bey, yours truly. All right, we present to you to be or not to be the refugee, the 1951 Refugee Convention. We're going to begin with a video, a 3-minute video audio clip. We're going to go into jurisdictional incompetence, points of analysis, excerpt from Moorish body politic formation meeting, June 2nd, 2021. So this was a record. This is a 3-minute audio from that meeting, and we actually on the board we have the we did the write up of the presentation. But the 3-minute clip is on the board. So we're going to analyze the points that you see on the board. All right. So we're going to play the 3-minute audio, and we're gonna analyze it in the context of jurisdictional incompetence, points of analysis.
I'm from Detroit, Michigan. Uh, one of my good dear brothers. He's been enlightening me on the information that you all provided, and so he should be listening too, because him and I we have healthy debates about this. So it's always to build at the end of the day. Then but he's kind of going against what I use. Is I use the Constitution. I don't use the treaties. I use the Constitution. I'm in Michigan. I use the Constitution. I get remedy. If I ever got locked up, habeas corpus, so you can moonwalk right out of court. I don't have to use a bond. My word is bond. If I had $100 million bond set, you can be released on your own recognizance. He told me, well, you don't use the Constitution because we're not a party to the Constitution. I said, well, I can use it as my benefit. That's just like I haven't used a driver's license since 2015. It's not valid. I don't use it. I revoke it. I've been pulled over by 2 state troopers, no license, speeding, no insurance. They look at me like, God damn, nigga. I'm like, yeah, public servant. Now, I'm not rude and disrespectful. Do I respect the cop? Absolutely not. I don't respect the judge, but I won't be disrespectful. See, so when I got pulled over, I beat a traffic ticket in Ohio. I used the Michigan Constitution just to prove a point I could do with and it's no disrespectful to you all, but this is how I talk to my brother. And I'm like, I could do what the fuck I want, but you have to know who you are and who they are not, which is a corporate fiction. It's about contract. Because he was like, it's about jurisdiction. It ain't about no damn jurisdiction. It's about a contract. Do I got a valid contract with you right now? Show it. Show this material evidence. I'm in court. He said, you don't go in court. And I heard this a lot of times because I have family members that are Moors too. I mean, we all are Moors. We don't know that. I grew up in the nation. They know me like the back of their hand. Nobody has more structure than them. If only they knew about this nationality. Most of them don't know about that. I mean, a lot know, but when I beat my traffic tickets, I don't even get into nationality because I don't have to prove nothing to them. You had a claim against me. My point is, I don't got a contract with you. Who are you? Matter of fact, who has a claim against me? I've been in court. I got a recorder on my phone, 36th District, Detroit, Michigan. Hell, they kicked me out of the courthouse. This is recorded on my phone. So when I go in there, I go in there to make a point. That's the belly of the beast. When people say, we got our own courts. Yeah, I am the court. I use the common law, which is common sense. When I'm in court, they say, okay, state your name for the record. I got to do this bullshit and state my name a different way. My name is Akil from the Mixon family, hereby special appearance only to handle all affairs for the ends leagues. Don't nobody in court know what the hell I'm talking about. But that so-called judge, first thing the judge said was, oh, I got your interrogatories. I ain't even had to do interrogatories.
What is your question?
Basically, so when you say we can't use the Constitution, well, this is what my brother was telling me then. My dear brother was telling me, I can't use the Constitution because I'm not a party to that. I beg to differ, and I'm just trying to get more information of where he's getting this information, saying you can't use the Constitution when I used it and I got remedy.
All right. Let me address that first. Yes. So we have on the screen, you see, we have the excerpts of some of the quotes. It is not about jurisdiction. It is about the contract. Statement made to the court. If I have a valid contract with you, show it as material evidence.
Stop right there. Now, Here's a man say I'm of Michigan. That's a ward, a refugee. So he acknowledging out of his mouth that he's a ward and refugee. That there's no mistake about that in law, not in your personal opinions or how you think or how you feel. Talking about positive law now. You're on the negative law side. I mean, you're being denied culture. The second thing is you claim you use the Constitution of the state of Michigan. Now, hear me out. The only one that can bring a claim to the Constitution of Michigan is a citizen of the provincial colonies that was handed down a charter by the crowns. The Dred Scott makes it clear that you don't have any African descent. Now, let me so we don't get mixed up. Well, I'm not African. Yes, you are. You're Moor. Africans are Moor. They're attacking the Moor. They're attacking the Moorish inheritance. They're attacking the Moor's consanguinity. So you made a statement about do you have a valid contract with you? Yes, you do have a valid contract with them. If you claim in the courtroom as a Moor under political allegiance, under national status, under nationality, under national status of a government in Morocco, yes, there is a contract called a treaty. If you're going to use the Constitution of Michigan and say, do I have a contract with you? They do have a contract with you. It's an applied contract and an express contract dating coming from your mother when she went into the hospital and put you in labor. She pushed you out in a foreign vessel without a country, claiming a country or a flag. So your mother is considered lost at sea and assumed to be a refugee. Therefore, all her goods are confiscated in custody. So they do have a contract, an applied and express contract. Because all your life when you grew up, you went to the government for everything. Not your government. You didn't go to the government in Morocco. You went to their government for the house get caught on fire. You call the police, call a fire engine. A bad thing happened, you call 911. You need a house to live in. You go into a political zone where the erection of a house is controlled by owned by the state of origin. So you see, there is a contract. So they just grant you grace and mercy, but not put you in jail. Let's go to the next one. All right. That's the material fact.
All right. So when I beat my traffic ticket, I don't get into nationality. I don't have to prove nothing to them.
Now, because I've been through this before, so I can speak. When you beat your traffic ticket, in order for that ticket to be thrown out, you will have to give the court's power to speak. So that means you are entered into a contract with the court by walking in there, by filing something, by addressing a judge or commissioner or peace officer or magistrate on a benefit of a right that you claim in a contract. So therefore, they got jurisdiction. So you went to them for a remedy as a what? Now, what status did you go to him as? You didn't go to him as a Moor because you said you don't use nationality or national status. So that means you went in either as a United States national, a resident, or a corporate, colorable citizen, or a refugee, which all of them fall under refugee, by the way. Now, let's address, I don't get into nationality. That means you don't have a country. You're not claiming to be a political allegiance to a country. That means you're a refugee, which we're going to talk about later. I don't have to prove nothing to them. You're absolutely right. You ain't got no business in there. The cost supposed to be there. You ain't got to prove nothing. You ain't supposed to be trying to prove nothing. They don't have jurisdiction. So the very reason that you in there, that means you unconscious of what you doing. Next.
All right. When I got pulled over by a state trooper in Ohio, I used the Michigan state constitution just to prove a point.
Now, let me explain what happened. What you did was gave the cop jurisdiction the moment you quote the constitution of that state. The cop is authorized and licensed to work as a code enforcement under a subdivision of the state, a child of the state, which is a creature of the law. The moment you say, I use the Michigan Constitution, you get a cop jurisdiction. You gave him jurisdiction. Because you're using something that your ancestors not even a party to. Your ancestors are the party to sign on Michigan Constitution. So why are you using the Michigan Constitution? Because you ain't got a damn political national status of allegiance to a country or your own state in Morocco. And the reason you didn't beat the ticket, the judge is ruling in your favor because he didn't want you to mess up his commercial activities, business. Let's go.
I use the Constitution, Michigan. I don't use treaties. I get remedy.
Okay. I use the Constitution of Michigan, meaning that you are telling Michigan that you have equal protection under the Constitution of the United States under the 14th Amendment. That's the only way you're going to get any rights to that. And that means now you will consider a ward, a refugee seeking a remedy from your master. You the servitude ward, refugee that's going into a foreign state without a country, asking them to give you a remedy. And I use the Constitution of Michigan as my benefit. That means you say it's benefiting you. That means they're your protector. Your allegiance is to them, your ward. Let's go.
Address the fact that he said I don't use the treaties.
Okay. The reason why you don't use the treaties, because you're not claiming, even though you might not acknowledge yourself under Moor's consanguinity blood pedigree, but you're not claiming a political allegiance status under a state or nation or ecclesiastical body that's in the domicile dominion of Morocco, the empire. And you're not using the treaties as your protection because you don't consider yourself a Moor under political status. Your Moor's political status is not tied to this flag right here. That's why you don't use the treaties. And you was not trained or taught the benefit of the treaty, the authority of the treaty, the delegated authority in the treaty to an officer. Just like you go in front of a judge because you've been trained that the judge have authority to adjudicate your matter. Well, a Moor under Moor's political status as a national know that a state, the head of state, consul appointed by the head of state, or a judge, a mufti, judge, or the consul has the exclusive jurisdiction over the judge, over the president, over the United States government and the state government. You don't know that. Let's go on.
All right. Getting heated up here. I don't have a contract with you. Who are you? As a matter of fact, who has a claim against me?
You have, I went this earlier, you do have a contract with him. The moment your mother went aboard the vessel, that's a voyage. She went there for aid, for her protection. She went there for a service, an aid. Therefore, she pushed out her goods. Her child is her goods, her merchandise. It belongs to her. It's the property of your mother. Therefore, because the mother don't have a country or not protected on a country or flag, and her goods, which is her child, does not have a country or under flag. It's a Moor by blood pedigree, but there's no national status allegiance of a country that she's from, unprotected. So therefore, she's down as a refugee. The name she named you is the property, is the property of the state, because you're not considered as a person having a country. You lost at sea. So you do have a contract as a refugee award of the state. That's why you use the Constitution. Wards of the state use the Constitution for protection.
All right. Let's continue right along here. A conscious Moor said to him, we have our own courts. His response, I use the common law,
I love this one.
which is common sense.
Let me explain something to you. You're not using common law. No, you're not. You're not using common law. Because if you use common law, that's Moorish culture, and you wouldn't be in that courtroom. You're not using common law. That means you're not using Moorish, ancient, civilized nations' culture. You're not using Moorish culture. See, British, when you hear the British common law, that's the Moorish law culture. That's the Moorish culture. That's embodied with jurisprudence, equity, the volume of decisions, judgments made of ancient covenants, statutes, decrees, epistles of ancient governments, which bring the value of equity, because the decisions and judgments are embodied in them. What you call we call it jurisprudence. That's jurisprudence, culture. So common law is Moorish culture that they adopted to make them self-civilized, to be a government, to operate as a people on earth. Let's go.
All right. A conscious Moor said to him, you can't use the Constitution, Michigan Constitution. You are not a party to it. His response, how can you say I can't use the Michigan Constitution? I get remedy. So we addressed this earlier.
Now,
Go this in.
As a Moor of consanguinity, and a Moor claiming a national political status to a province or state or nation in Morocco. One like that cannot use the Constitution because it's under protection of that nation or state that's protected under this flag. Now, if you are a ward and don't know it, or a refugee, which is called United States national, a resident of the state, or a legal, or they call it a legal alien, or a stateless party, that doesn't, you can use that Constitution because what gives you the rights under that Constitution is the 14th Amendment. Next, which is a foreign franchise colony of the France, Great Britain, Sweden, Portuguese, Germany, all this. Let's go.
All right, so I'm going to address this. A jurisdictional analysis. How was the political state of Michigan formed? We're going to start with the 1763 Treaty of Paris between France and Great Britain that ended the 7-year Pontiac War. And in that treaty, France ceded, it's a land cession treaty. France ceded a large portion of Moorish land to Great Britain, which also includes Canada. Now, what led to the Revolutionary War? They have the proclamation, the Royal Proclamation of 1763, King George II. King George II, through that proclamation, was reaffirming the agreement in that 1763 treaty between France and Great Britain, which reserved land, a large portion of reserved land for the Moors. George Washington belonged to a land survey company. He was part of that. That company wanted to extend its investments.
That's right.
That led, it was the British subjects led by George Washington and that land survey company that wanted the land, that reserved land reserved in the 1763 Treaty of Paris for the Moors. That led to the Revolutionary War. Here we go. 1783. The Treaty of Paris of 1783 between Great Britain and the United States ended the Revolutionary War. Great Britain ceded the 13 colonies and what's called the Northwest Territory, what they call Wisconsin, Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, and Wisconsin, Illinois, Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. As a result of that 1783 treaty, the legislation, the United States Congress assembled, legislated the Northwest Ordinance. The Northwest Ordinance legislation brought forth those 6 states I mentioned. So the political state of Michigan was formed through the 1787 Northwest Ordinance. It was no constitutional convention. No constitutional convention for Michigan. No constitutional convention for Illinois, Wisconsin, Indiana, Ohio. The Northwest Ordinance. That's how it was formed, through the Northwest Ordinance. Is the political state of Michigan a Moorish state? The political state of Michigan is not a Moorish state. We've talked about, so that is political state of Michigan, as it came, ceding, Great Britain ceding, because it's still in the British zone. The British political state of Michigan is not a Moorish state. The brother claimed to, use the Michigan Constitution, but it's not a political state of Michigan. Michigan is not a political state, a Moorish state. Is the state of Michigan Constitution a Moorish Constitution or derived from Moorish treaty? The state of Michigan is from the Northwest Ordinance, going back to that 1763 treaty, 1783 Treaty of Paris. All right, the Northwest Ordinance. So because all that's related. So it's not, the state of Michigan Constitution is not a Moorish Constitution or derived from Moorish treaty. So why is a Moor of consanguinity, Moorish blood, ancestry, descent, proudly saying, I used the state of Michigan Constitution for my benefit? Why would you want to use the state of Michigan Constitution? I mean, why would you want to surrender your Moorish sovereignty, surrender protection of the Moorish treaty? Why would you want to lead thousands and tens of thousands of your people that way, that would relinquish Moorish sovereignty, that would subject yourself under a foreign power, foreign to the land? You are leading your people to submit to a foreigner of the Moorish land, violating Moorish treaties, surrendering Moorish sovereignty, moving away from the protection of this flag. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to move away from your mother?
By the way, this is not the flag. It's not the flag of Kingdom of Morocco.
Defend her. Raise her up. You're not doing that by proudly saying, I use the Michigan Constitution for my protection, for my benefit. I get remedy. Question. I get remedy. But is it remedy? No, that's that. Did he get remedy? No. You did not get remedy. The Moorish treaties, you did not get remedy. You waived. You are claiming to have allegiance to the United States through Michigan. What remedy is that? You're moving away from your mother. Did you get remedy? You went into, you're operating on your Moorish land. A foreign entity stops you on your Moorish land. You go to what the treaty doesn't even say, You go to the foreign entity, you get a summons. You go to the foreign entity. The treaty doesn't read that. The treaty doesn't read that. So for your relief. All right. Abdullah, what would be the remedy? I'm glad you asked. Is to reversion to sovereignty, re-entering the international community as an old and original state, organize, facilitate political structure through public government or ecclesiastical orders, facilitate and organize a central governing body to reestablish diplomatic relations with the treaty nations through diplomatic channels, so they're not stopping you at all. The remedy is they don't stop you at all. At all. Thousands, 10,000, hundreds of thousands, more vehicles, right, more tags. They don't stop you at all. Hear me out. There's no such thing. We must understand, we must rise to maturity to this principle. There's no such thing as they injured Shem. They injured Morocco. It's an attack against more sovereignty. We got to move, we got to mature to this level. There's no such thing as France injuring one Chinese. That doesn't exist. That France injured one Chinese. No, France injured China because you attack against one Chinese. It's an attack against the entire nation of China. One Chinese injured. That's an attack against Chinese sovereignty. They injured him. It's an attack against the entire country of Morocco. We must rise this individual only because we don't understand. That's all. We don't understand. That's it. It's a lack of knowledge. So we're facilitating that understanding. We're facilitating the reestablishment of diplomatic relations so that can be the case where they injured Terrence. It's an attack against Morocco, not Terrence. The focus can't be Terrence. It has to be Morocco. Morocco is an attack against more sovereignty, not Terrence. More sovereignty, more sovereignty. Not Terrence. It's more sovereignty. Because it's a treaty violation. So it's an attack against more sovereignty. The brother will mature to that level of understanding. He doesn't know. He doesn't know. That's it. Forgive him, Father, for he does not know. Or mother, for he does not know. All right? So we have to rise to this maturity. We're not there yet. We're rising there. We got to get us there. Thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions. We must rise to this level of maturity. All right?
That's where it's at.
All right, so we're going to go right into the Refugee Convention.
And that's going to show why we have to claim you got to claim a symbol body of assembly as a people to create assembly and create a head of state and create a judiciary and come together. Or if you operating under Christianity, under Judaism, which is the Tayuti, or you operate in the doctrine of Mohammedanism, it's important that you use the seer book, the book, as the foundation of the ecclesiastical law. Yes, as the foundation of the ecclesiastical law to protect your inherent culture rights. So you being denied culture. When they say negative law, that's denying you culture. Positive law is formal culture. I mean, you operate as culture. So we got to get back to positive law. Yes, you're going to be for article Don't worry about it. Article 1. Amar, you ready? Let's go. Okay, this is the Refugee Treaty, final act of the United Nations Conference, was the full potentiary right of the United States of refugees and stateless persons. All right, Mar, you want to go to Article, we go out to the Article 1. Amar, you know where we was at. We said we're going to start at, and be ready.
Article 1, definition of the term refugee. A, for the purposes of the present convention, the term refugee shall apply to any person who, 1, has been considered a refugee under the arrangements.
Where you at, Amar? Where you at?
Article 1.
Oh, let me get there. I ain't get there. All right, preamble. Okay, here we go. Article 1, defining the terms of refugee. Go ahead, Mar.
1, has been considered a refugee under the arrangements of the 12th of May, 1926 and 30th of June, 1928, or under the conventions of 28th of October, 1933 and the 10th of February, 1938, the protocol of the 14th of September, 1939, or the Constitution of the International Refugee Organization. Decisions of non-eligibility taken by the International Refugee Organization during the period of its activities should not prevent the status of refugee being accorded to persons who fulfill the conditions of paragraph 2 of this section. 2, as a result of events occurring before the 1st of January 1951 and owing to well-founded fear of being persecuted for reasons of race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group, or political opinion, is outside the country of his nationality and is unable or owing to such fear.
Stop right there. The terms, the definition terms of a refugee. Please hear me out, Morris. Women, men, and children. Hear me out, everybody in Morocco, South Morocco, North Morocco, Central Morocco, which is called North, South, Central America. That's Morocco, the whole 2 continents, the 2 big islands. Please hear me out. If you, I don't care how successful you are, how much money, how much hypothecated illusion that you spend and claim to have every day, how comfortable you consider yourself being civilized in a place that you consider you don't even know is your country, taking orders from a foreign government, scared to claim and say who you are, claim to say that claim to be a part of a religious organization, claim to be part of a government in your own land, claim to group up, assemble, and build assembly as a social group, which is a political, civic, and economic organization. When you are in fear to do that, and is outside the country of your nationality. See, Morocco is your country. Your nationality and a consanguinity is a Moor. What's a Moor? A melic carbonated man and woman with melon. Morocco is a huge part of the earth that our ancestors named and claimed their boundaries, estate boundaries. They assemble together through culture in different provinces, regions, and dominions of the 2 mass big continents called Morocco. South, Central, and North. They claimed it and used it for shelter, for food, for protection, and regulate commerce among themselves with the valuables of the minerals and nutrition that come out of the earth. When you fear or intimidated to claim to be a part of that, to claim that inheritance, then you don't have nothing. You are a ward. You are a refugee. You don't have a nationality. What's nationality? You got a blood pedigree, but you don't have a national political allegiance under that nationality that ties you back to a nation or state that has a state or boundary. Boundaries mean land, corner, a portion of the earth's surface is Morocco. Morocco is not a country. Morocco is a mass territory of land, which is called South, Central, and North America. It's Morocco. Come on, let's go.
Membership of a particular social group or political opinion is outside the country of his nationality and is unable or, owing to such fear, is unwilling to avail himself of the protection of that country, or who, not having a nationality and
Stop
being
it there. Owing and unwilling to avail himself of the protection of that country. That means you don't want to claim to be under a state or nation that is domicile, have a dominion domicile in the territory of North, Central, and South Morocco, which is called, how you going to have a North America? How you going to have a Central America? How you going to have a South America? What was it when they changed the language and shifted vowels and changed the words for their political longitude and latitude? What was it before then? It was South, North, Central Morocco. You are unwilling to claim a political status and allegiance to a government put together by your people, you, a social trust or ecclesiastical constitution under culture, religion, culture. You're not claiming your ancient ancestor cultures and ancient civilization nations. You're acting outside of that as if it doesn't exist, but I'm just more about blood pedigree. You ain't got no protection because you're unwilling after you get educated, not indoctrinated. You're getting educated now. That this is your insurance policy. Now, you come up, many of y'all know, let's stop playing games. You know why you're going to get insurance on the car. You know why you get homeowner insurance. Why? To protect you from damage or injury or personal liability. That's what a treaty does for Moor. Let's go.
is unwilling to avail himself of the protection of that country, or who, not having a nationality and being outside the country of his former habitual residence as a result of such events, is unable or, owing to such fear, is unwilling to return to it. In the case of a person who has more than one nationality, the term the country of his nationality shall mean each of the countries of which he is a national, and a person shall not be deemed to be lacking the protection of the country of his nationality if, without any valid reason based on well-founded fear, he has not availed himself of the protection of one of the countries of which he is a national.
Now, when you claim, I'm going to teach you something tonight about Abdullah said diplomacy, government relation. When you claim to be in a treaty, two nations in a treaty, you go to the other nation to go over there on what you call an alienation under a work visa, or you running a business in that other nation pursuant to a treaty. That means you're not coming in through immigration. You're allowed to be there in the alienation, and as alliance of friendship. It's called amnesty and friendship. When you there, you have a right to operate as a subject of that other nation under alienation without being in trouble, without giving up the allegiance of your country based on a treaty. So that means I'm running a business here in the political zone of a foreign nation. The treaty protects me. I'm not, when something goes wrong in that political zone, I brings in the laws of alienation. Therefore, the treaty protects me while I'm there acting as a national in that land. What do you mean, Shem? You don't know about that. That's why I see only certain people come and get a visa, and they say, well, the nation allowed that. That's called government relationship. That's why government entered into other agreements beside treaties, regulating this, so they can deal with that kind of political activity when it's deal between a foreign of another land and they going into another land. They allow that through citizenship. That's they give their citizen the same protection as when they go in your country, they protected under the laws of that country as if they was a national themselves at that country. And they're not evading itself. A matter of fact, Abdullah don't understand what I'm saying in the Heisman case. Remember that case, Abdullah? Abdullah, can you come up and explain that case? That's a proper case when he died in Switzerland and the United States had a treaty. Heisman never gave up his national status. He was in the United States as a national, not through immigration. But he was operating, he never waived his national allegiance to that country, which is Switzerland. But in there, United States, he had a status as a national living in the United States. Explain that, Abdullah, please.
Yes. Hausenstein versus Linham. Hausenstein versus Lyman. All right, Hausenstein versus Lyman. The 1850 treaty between the Swiss Confederation and the United States. Solomon Hausenstein had purchased 3 properties in the British political zone under the political jurisdiction of Virginia. Hausenstein had transitioned. Now, in the treaty, the 1850 treaty between the Swiss Confederation and the United States, a Swiss national can receive the proceeds of the sales that is in the language. Can't recall the article in that treaty. So his relatives in that language, the deceased relatives can claim the proceeds from the sale because it had gone through sale. They sold the property. So now why was Hausenstein protected under the Swiss Constitution, that treaty, and not under the United States Constitution? Why was the United States Constitution not used to adjudicate the case? That's a great question. Because Hausenstein had never renounced his citizenship to Switzerland. He had never renounced his allegiance. So Hausenstein, though he had lived on Moorish soil, but in the political zone of Virginia, and had purchased 3 properties, had never renounced his citizenship to Switzerland. So status. What was his status at the time of his death? So, oh, man, we can't use the United States Constitution because Hausenstein wasn't a citizen of the United States. Where's that brother from Detroit at? Hausenstein versus Linham. So since he was not a citizen of the United States, we got to use the treaty of 1850 between the Swiss Confederation and the United States. That is what protected Hausenstein. And as a result of that, Hausenstein's nephews and nieces were able to reclaim the proceeds from the sale. So status. What law? So our people are Moors by consanguinity, ancestry, lineage, descent, pedigree, parentage, but their status, they have no allegiance to their mother. They have not pledged allegiance. So their consanguinity is Moor. But what is their political status? What is their political status? Which means you have Moor, your political status, you got nationality, political status. So nationality, their consanguinity. All right. Their political status, allegiance. They're subjected to the foreign power, United States. All right, so that's a great case, very good case. Hausenstein versus Linham. Yeah, Hausenstein versus Linham. All right, so that's a very good case for Moors to study. Very good case for understanding the status. All right.
Thank you, Professor. I need you to break that down because thank Professor Abdul for breaking that case down because he's very good at that. And that case is very useful to Moors to show that anytime a Swiss or French or Spanish or Portuguese or European subject that was the first nations that entered treaties with Morocco, the nations and states in Morocco, and they go back to this ancient law. They look back to this jurisprudence as the value, as equity. This is where they use as value, the equity from the jurisprudence. They look at this to form their going decisions and judgments going forward in the future, and now in the future. We have to think that way.
All right. All right. So Shem mentioned Moorish treaties, and the European powers look back to their relationship in the Moorish treaties. All right. The 1952 case between France and the United States in the International Court of Justice dealt with who had the most favorable nation claim. Was it France or the United States? And the most favorable nation clause of a treaty that would dealing with who would have the benefits regarding tariff. If it's be a 10% tariff or 5% tariff, who would more like an open door, we have what's called open door policy or open door clause, favorable nation clause. These are certain clauses that you would have in a treaty, all right, that give favor to a particular nation, all right, dealing with trade, then with tariff. So that was on the table. There was 3 types of treaties that was used to adjudicate that case between France and United States in 1952. The first type of treaty were the bilateral treaties between Morocco and European powers, France, the Netherlands. So between Morocco and France, between Morocco and Switzerland, between Morocco and Norway, between Morocco and Denmark, between Morocco and Portugal, between Morocco and Spain, between Morocco and the United States, between Morocco and Great Britain, all right, between Morocco and Belgium, between 1631 and 1892. The second type of treaty that was used to adjudicate the case is the 1880 Act to Protect Morocco, and also the Act of Algiers of 1906. The third type of treaty that was used was the French Protectorate of 1912. So you see how they went back. Study that case. 1952 case between France and United States, 1952. It's well laid out. That was put together by jurists. Then you also have along with that, the memorial, the United States Memorial, because that was that coincides with that 1952 case. And we looked at that in one of the Sir George classes. I think it was week 5. And you see the treaties, the volumes of treaties that were used in that counter memorial. It's the United States counter memorial, and dealt with consul, and so these are how when you are at your job, Home Depot, Lowe's, what laws govern Moors? Moors, while you're in Home Depot, Lowe's, McDonald's, Burger King, at your jobs, you're wrapped with your mother. You're wrapped with the treaties. You're clothed with the treaties. You're clothed with the protection of the treaties. How do you work that, Abdullah? Through government structure. That has been the lacking part. France, England, the Netherlands, Spain, Portugal, Denmark, Sardinia, United States cannot enforce the treaties for the Moors. They cannot step in the shoes of a Moorish consul. Only Moors can do that. So a treaty between France and Morocco. France only has the authority to protect her French nationals, to enforce the treaty to protect her French nationals. France does not have authority to protect Moorish nationals, to deal with the Moorish affairs in the treaties. France doesn't have that authority. France can't step in the shoes of a Moorish consul. The treaty dealing with extraterritoriality jurisdiction, which delegates power to a Moorish consul, to exclusive power, jurisdiction to a Moorish consul that deals with civil and criminal matters, to a Moorish consul to protect Moors. A French government can't do that. Sardinia, Denmark, United States, Great Britain, Spain, Portugal. So this is why we have to reestablish diplomatic ties with the treaty nations through government structure. There's been too much self-appointment. So we must continue to teach the importance of government structure. I think, Shem, why Moors have done this self-appointment, because they don't know. They don't know the importance, the effects, the power of political unity. They don't know. They haven't seen it. They haven't seen it. They've seen self-appointments. They've seen political illegitimacy. They have not seen government structure. They have not seen the diplomatic channels be open. That's why we must continue to focus. This is our way out. This is our freedom. We must focus on government structure, government structure, government structure.
Thank you, Professor. Yes, sir. Let's focus on government structure so we can come back and claim our states. That way our women can enforce the matriarch principle in handing down the culture and the inheritance to our children. Let's be the protective men of our waters, our land, our air, and protect the woman, which all gifts of the cosmos, the heavens, come from through a woman. In her is all the wisdom and knowledge because she forms the vessel that the divinity is operating in, living through. So let's be a man so we can get our woman back safe, get our woman back to be on her land without somebody telling her what to do or how to have her children, and she having babies and feeling that stress for her, how I'm going to take care of my children, what I'm going to do, and she turned to a foreign corporate government and asked them to protect her. She go to them for protection. She go to them for nourishment. She go to them for everything. She don't know that she protected on her motherland. So let's get this right, lords. Let's protect our noble women so we can enforce the matriarch principle where the woman can have the house, have the say so, and handing down inheritance and teaching our children. Let's force protecting the women when she's learning, she's able to teach the other younger women how the matriarch principle go in handing down inheritance and being honorable to the masculine, which is the man. Okay, Omar, you ready?
B1. For the purposes of this convention, the words events occurring before 1st of January 1951 in Article 1, Section A shall be understood to mean either A, events occurring in Europe before the 1st of January 1951, or B, events occurring in Europe or elsewhere before the 1st of January 1951. And each contracting state shall make a declaration at the time of signature, ratification, or accession, specifying which of these meanings.
Omar, go to C. Excuse me, Omar, go to C. This is very important.
This convention shall cease to apply to any person falling under the terms of Section A if...
Stop right there. Now, what they're saying is that under the terms, the definition terms, in order for you to get back recovery, the convention means that all the nations on earth, portions of the earth's surfaces, mean a dominion territory on earth that's claiming a political status, that's claiming to be a part of the motherland. Those nations come together and form a convention which they all agree and ratify and sign to be the law governing any contracting signature ratifying party nation of that national government. Go ahead, Moor. Means worldwide.
1. He has voluntarily re-availed himself of the protection of the country of his nationality.
Or, so stop right there. That means that, dang, I'm a more about consanguinity. This is Morocco. Wait a minute. I can't be a citizen of the United States, a citizen of, or I can't be by national political allegiance. I can't claim to be a British subject, or French subject, or a Spanish subject, or a Portuguese citizen, or a Switzerland citizen. I have to claim the inheritance, the inherent right that my mother and father, under the Moor's consanguinity, to be a part of a state or nation that's claiming to be in Morocco, North, Central, or South Morocco, to be protected in my state, my boundaries, my territory, my business, my political affairs, my civic affairs, my development, my building, my banking, my bartering, what I'm going to get into later right up here. Go ahead, Mar.
2. Having lost his nationality, he has voluntarily reacquired it.
Stop right there. Now, remember I said, you can never lose your blood consanguinity. Let me, because people hear the word nationality, this is being used interweave, connotative, and if you don't know how to, if you're not a jurist, you don't know what's going on, you let that go by. But let me correct this right now, which I learned from Professor Abdul with dealing with etymology. When somebody is twisting something, nationality can never be waived. It can never be reclaimed. It's blood consanguinity through inheritance, carbon and melon. Nationality under political status or allegiance can be lost. How, Shem? Your mother don't know who she is. And she dropped you in a vessel owned by a foreign nation. She don't have a flag. She don't have passport papers. She don't have any kind of identity papers. Then her goods, her merchandise, all her possessions become in custody of that foreign nation because she don't have a country. She's abandoned. They are giving her asylum and amnesty, being a friend to her. Or what happens? Now her goods, her baby, become lost. And lost is what? It's national status of a country or state in Morocco. So once you realize that, you connect back to a government, a state, or ecclesiastical body under your national political allegiance, which you have an inherent right to. You invoke it, you speak it, you write it down, and that's how you get back in your country. Y'all come together and do that. Go ahead, Mar.
3. He has acquired a new nationality and enjoys the protection of the country of his new nationality.
Remember, that's not dealing with blood pedigree. That's national political status of allegiance to a country or a nation or state. Go ahead, Mar.
4. He has voluntarily reestablished himself in the country which he left or outside which he remained owing to fear of prosecution.
Now, remember this. You don't leave your country by going over water, overseas. You lose, the first how you lose your country is to amnesia, not knowing. The second way is when you don't want to accept that this boundary of land, territory was owned by your ancient ancestors, mothers and fathers, the ancient civilization, and you're willing to inherit it, its benefits. You have to remember this. Or third, you would rather go to a foreign nation and through expression and through apply speaking contracts, you will submit yourself to the jurisdiction of that foreign body. That's how you get outside your country. Go ahead.
5. He can no longer, because the circumstances in connection with which he has been recognized as a refugee have ceased to exist, continue to refuse to avail himself of the protection of the country of his nationality, provided that this paragraph shall not apply to a refugee falling under Section A(1) of this article, who is able to invoke compelling reasons arising out of previous persecution for refusing to avail himself of the protection of the country of his nationality.
Yes. Keep going.
6. Being a person who has no nationality, he is, because of the circumstances.
Stop right there. Now, let me say something. What's going on here? This got to be read in proper context. When it say being a person who has no nationality, that's not talking about blood pedigree. Let's talk about a person that's not claiming, have no country that he's claiming to be a part of. That's dealing with status, national status. He's not claiming any citizenship or national status to any domicile, territory, area on the earth. Go ahead, Mar. Read that again.
6. Being a person who has no nationality, he is, because of the circumstances in connection with which he has been recognized as a refugee, have ceased to exist, able to return to the country of his former habitual residence, provided that this paragraph shall not apply to a refugee falling under Section A(1) of this article, who is able to invoke compelling reasons arising out of previous persecution for refusing to return to the country of his former habitual residence.
All right, let me get the article dealing with judgments. All right, go to E.
E. This convention shall not apply to a person who is recognized by the competent
Yes, let's
authorities
go.
of the country in which he has taken residence as having the rights and obligations which are attached to the possession of the nationality of that country.
Did you hear? See what treaty is important? This talking about treaty here. This talking about claiming a national political status of a country or state that's in North, Central, and South of Morocco. If you're going to call these two big continents North, Central, and South America, then if they can be called America, then you know damn well they're Morocco. And you claiming a nation or state, national political allegiance to that nation and state in Morocco, North, Central, South Morocco. Then you don't fall as a refugee now. You got a country. Then you're protected by the treaties. Okay, Amar, let's get to general obligation, refugee duties. All right, let's go to Article 2, general obligation. Start that first paragraph. I'm going to deal with the brother now. Talk about he be lying in the Michigan Constitution. That's why he's a refugee. This is going to prove it. I don't mean no harm. I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings. I'm trying to get you to stop thinking that you are protected by the Michigan Constitution. You against well-established principles of law. This is what this is built on. They're looking back to make this here, these conventions. You're in violation of this convention. The United States signed and ratified this. Let's go, Amar. Article 2, general obligations.
Article 2, general obligations. Every refugee has duties to the country in which he finds himself, which require in particular that he conform to its laws and regulations, as well as to measures taken for the maintenance of public order.
Stop right there. I'm in the state of Michigan. I don't have a contract. This say you do. Refugee ward. I'm a Moor. How? Yeah, you got a big carbon and melon. Sure. You're a carbon melanated man. Afflicting, you got an inherent claim from the other earlier ancient civilizations of your ancestors, mother and fathers that had carbon and melanin, that first inhabited the earth and gave it a name. Consider what was value in the earth, coming out, going in the earth and coming out of the earth. Forming contracts through language, measuring out political boundaries and structures and ownership over the states, navigating the water through longitude and latitude, culture, looking at the stars, the moons and the suns, making up calendars for dispensations, days, months, years, century, hour, time of the day. You're not tied to this, you're a refugee. Go, Amar. I just read the contract against you right there.
Article 3, non-discrimination. The contracting states shall apply the provisions of this convention to refugees without discrimination as to race, religion, or country of origin.
Go ahead.
Article 4, religion. The contracting state shall accord to refugees within their territories treatment at least as favorable as that accorded to their nationals with respect to freedom to practice their religion and freedom as regards to religious education of their children.
Start again. Article 4.
Article 4,
religion.
religion. The contracting states shall accord to refugees within their territories.
Stop right there. Let me explain what this means so you know what's going on. When they say within their territory, that means a nation that's not in a foreign land. They claim they're in a territory to them because that's the land that the ancient foremothers and forefathers gave them through inheritance. They inherit that. That's territory, that's land. If you from a foreign land and you don't have a country and wind up in their territory, in their land, then this applies to you. Go ahead. Because you're a refugee. Telling you a refugee.
The contracting states shall accord to refugees within their territories treatment at least as favorable as that accorded to their nationals with respect to freedom to practice their religion and freedom as regards the religious education of their children.
Yeah, hold on a minute. All right, okay, I'm gonna go to the board now. Let me move this to the side. Go to the board. Go through this. T, we with me? We ready for me stand over here, right? I'm good here, T. Okay. Now for y'all that's watching the House of Reawakening Mind, we're teaching not only here for everybody in the Moroccan Empire to understand that under your Moorish consequences, if you got carbon and melon, you got what you call the DNA, the chromosome of the ancient civilizations of the earth. The oldest DNA, the original DNA. That's your Moorish consanguinity. Now, dealing with national status under that nationality is your ability to be a part of, to be in your land, claim to be part of a political government that's established by you, the people, or ecclesiastical body that is functioning and operating and obligated only to the laws of seers, ancient seers. Okay, here we got government, industry, bartering, trade, investments, development, exchange, and control. This is controlled and regulated by the people through government structure. That's what you claiming, I got money in the Bitcoin, I got gold, I got the new wallet, the digital wallet. What do that care? That's nothing. You're a refugee. You don't have a status, a political allegiance status as a national of a state and nation in Morocco based on culture law, positive law. You on the negative side. You only granted the privilege to use these things. The moment that government of them people who assemble and form that political government structure, all your rights cease. You don't got a status, you're a refugee, you're a ward. With all your billions of dollars, what do you have? You don't have control, custody of your own body. You never claim your body. Your government, you even claim the people to band together, assemble, and create government, so the government become your guarantor, and the government stand in place for you when something is wrong. So that's for all y'all. I'm rich. I got these rich schemes. You ain't got to be a Moor. I ain't paying that more science. You gonna pay somebody already started. They already started the war. It's been started. You think you getting over? Keep playing games. Keep playing. You think this thing ain't real? You better get yourself under Moor's government and stop playing to get back ties to this, under this. I ain't never know a child, baby, when it's 2 years old, get lost and don't cry for his mother. Damn, you got so pathetic. A baby got you beat. At least a child, when he's lost from his mother, cry. He make a sound. He make a noise. What is the child doing? He invoking fear because he need his mother protection. Stop playing with me. I'm going to get this thing real. Political, civics, and economics. That's what y'all love. National status of a country is rooted on a foundation principle of culture, allegiance of an ancient civilization of people. You heard that? Let's go. Come on up here. I want you to read it. Come on. Sit right here. I want you to read this. Say it loud to read it loud. Start with political, civics, and economics and read down here, and then I get over there. Start from the top. Yes, you can go.
Government, industrial, bartering, trade, investment, developments, exchange is controlled and regulated by the people through government structure.
Okay, go ahead.
Political, civics, economics,
Oh, yeah.
national status of a
Talk loud, brother. Talk loud.
national status of a country is rooted on a foundation of principles of culture, allegiance of an ancient civilization of people. This is positive law. To teach or deny these real truth principles is suppressed by negative law, man or woman must acknowledge the principle of their ancient ancestors of the
Earlier
earlier civilization of nations.
Okay, now, thank you, Amar. Now, what we're doing now here, we're dealing with the pyramid, which you see all around the world. Now, the pyramid got a peak, high. It got a downslope going down, then it comes over to a flat surface, then it goes back up. So in measurement, Abdullah, what is this pyramid called? In measurements, what is this pyramid called? What is this triangle shape called? A corner, was it a square, corner? Right, equilateral. Thank you, Professor. Equilateral. Is it the pyramid shape? That's a pyramid shape. What is that called? High point, two peak corners. Right, okay. Right, that's right. It's equilateral, which is used in what? Measurements. And what you call geometry? Trigonometry, excuse me. In trigonometry, this document, yes. This right here, I want you to see this. Trigonometry, divinity, is what this flag is a part right here. If you look at this flag and look at the intertwine, it's dealing with trigonometry. This is a symbol of trigonometry dealing with what? Earlier civilization, a building. Look at this flag and look at that. That's right, absolutely. Thank you, Amar. Now, in this trigonometry, the points of everything start from truth. What is truth? Truth is only where the hierarchy, where the Lord God, the master invoked, the voice, the mother, the cosmos, that withheld the knowledge and wisdom of all civilization, of divinity or nature. It comes out of that principle comes truth. Everything got to be built in truth, be true measure, everything. From there, it forms a contract with anything that comes out of its existing, meaning it creates. That's a form of a contract. After that is done, the master, the one nucleus monarchy, forms a contract with all its creation. Angelic beings, angles, which forms symbols, shapes, and forms. Then all that or lower have to honor. Have to honor what comes from here in this. These are principles that we have to get back to. We have to come with truth. Truth is in what? Culture. Then after we get culture, we got to form a contract to protect us in practicing that culture. Then after we create the contract or the seer, covenants, acts, or contracts, treaties, then we have to honor them. We're not honoring the truth.
Yes.
That's in contract. That means the covenants, the acts, the ancient culture, the rituals, ceremony, tradition, riots, festivals, holidays. We're not honoring that. So now I get you back to Professor Abdullah. I'm glad I was able to
stay up there.
I'm glad I was able to teach you these principles again. Read up top, Amar, real fast. Read this real fast.
On the board. You're gonna stay up there.
Blood lineage, descent, kinsmanship, heirs is connected to culture.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you, Moors.
Stay up there.
Thank you.
Continue to talk.
Thank you.
Continue to talk.
Noble women. Thank you, lords, ministers. That's appointed ministers that's operating based on the principle of government through elections, to elections, invest in office and being delegated with authority to run these offices. You're a minister. If you're operating from as an elder, that means you're holding the knowledge and wisdom of the seers. That makes you an elder. If you're a minister, that means you're appointed to do a specific duty. I'm teaching what's going on here, culture. Let's get back to that. Let's get back to taking out. I want to be able to take women that I love on water while somebody tell them I can't be them on water. They be able to fish. Let her see industry. Let her raise the children. Hand this down. She can go on a ship or yacht, dock anywhere in her country without being molested, without being told what to do, without saying we're going to take your children from you. Let's just stop playing and protect our women, our land. How we do that? Let's enforce the truth, contract, honor principles under the masculine, that the body we got is masculine. Let's use it, the intellectual property, to navigate our bodies and get us in positions as a people assembled to protect our lands. And then respect and honor the treaties we got with the United States, Great Britain, France, and the European powers, and obligation, international obligations and conventions and acts that Morocco, not just one country, the continent north, the governments, the nations, the states that are claiming a political territory and a province in North, Central, and South Morocco, not America. Because we're not in that political jurisdiction. Remember, we talk about the land. We're not talking about eruptions, the excavation that's built on the rock. Morocco is the North, Central, South rock, the land. Let's get it right.
Keep talking. Keep talking.
I'm glad to be here. I know sometimes I'm a Lord demanding, but I have to be this way. You know, I'm not a cream puff. My mother didn't have no cream puffs. Neither did the heavens and the cosmos sent into her a cream puff. Don't be mad at me. I didn't make this up. This is ordained. This is an ordination on me. Same with this man right here. Don't get jealous of him. He could not do this if he wasn't ordained to do this. It's impossible for him to do this if not the gifts were put in him through his mother wombs. It's impossible. They're talking about time traveling. Well, when you got up this morning, was it in your mind to get here? Okay, what time was that? About 9 o'clock? Now, how did you get here? How did your body get here? What brought your body in time traveling? That means your mind projected you here. See, they hide these principles of culture. No, I'm traveling. They got a machine. Every day, your body is the machine. The energy, the divinity operates the machine to get you to the next destination that haven't even got here yet through your thinking. Come on now, let's stop playing with each other. Let's get this right. They got us down as lunatics, special needy children, wards. Got no time for no argument and negative arguments and stuff when we moving like this with this kind of education. Man, what's wrong with the people? When I see all this knowledge, hidden knowledge, and revelation coming to me and this man, ain't got no choice but to talk it to get us out of this situation. Thank you. I appreciate you. I'm not against you. I love you. I love you. I'm not here, this education. Ain't nobody here talking against no government. Remember, these government European powers are in allegiance with us. They are in amnesty, man, friendship. But in order for them to take us as a friend, we got to acknowledge that we are descent, kinsmanship, heir of these people that's called Moor subjects, Moroccan nationals, Days, Bays, Els, governors, principality, men and women. We are the descent, kinsmanship, heir of these people.
I'm ready.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I got more to be coming from you. Thank you, Professor Abdullah. I appreciate you. Let me speak to you.
All right, everybody.
And for bringing me up to this.
All right.
What we doing?
Islam, everyone. All right, man. That was awesome, man. Awesome. Yes. Shem Malachi Bay, man. Wow. We have this Thursday, y'all, next week, 12-week online course, Hooked on Grammar 201, June 17th, which starts this Thursday, Saturday to September 2nd. So the classes run for 12 consecutive Thursdays from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. About our program, instructor yours truly, Abdullah Il Talib Mosi Bey. The 12-week grammar course is designed to aid students in improving their reading and writing skills by teaching students how to write and analyze noun, adjective, and adverbial clauses. Through this intensive study, students will be able to read long sentences in treaties, agreements, conventions, and other lawful instruments as well as books written in the 16, 17, 18, and early 1900s. Enroll now. Go to UnitedRepublicOfMorocco.com and click on Academy of Providence. That's UnitedRepublicOfMorocco.com and click on Academy of Providence. I got a little treat for you tonight. We're going to analyze a sentence so you see the level of instructions that you'll be getting in this course. All right. There are four sentence structures. You have your simple sentence, which is one independent clause. You have your compound sentence, which is two independent clauses. You have your dependent. You have your complex sentence, which is one independent clause or one or more dependent clauses. You have your compound complex sentence, which is two independent clauses or one or more dependent clause. All right, so we're going to look at this sentence and we're going to identify the sentence. We're going to identify the sentence structure. We're going to analyze the sentence. Is it a simple sentence, compound sentence, complex sentence, compound complex sentence? All right, so let's get to work here. All right, we have the sentence reads, with pizza and soda at hand, they study APA for rules for many hours, and they decided that writing an APA made sense because it was clear, concise, and objective. So what we're going to do with pizza and soda at hand, they study APA for many hours. So that here, they study APA for many hours. We're going to So they study APA for many hours is an independent. So you have, I'll put this in blue. Independent clause. Is this too light? Independent clause. They studied APA rules for many hours. All right. Now, independent clause can stand alone. They study APA rules for many hours. That can stand alone. That's an independent clause. That's why we call it an independent clause. All right. They study. So let's look at this. And they decided. So we have another independent clause. And they decided. Now, and is a coordinated conjunction. And is a coordinated conjunction. So they decided can stand alone. That's a complete, that's a complete sentence. That's a complete, they decided. They decided. So we have, they studied APA rules for many hours, can stand alone. They decided can stand alone. All right. So we have, let's get more information. So they study APA rules for many hours and they decided. They decided what? They decided what? So we have here, they decided what? So we have let's put the question here. They decided what? So the dependent clause will give us more information. what did they decide? That writing in APA made sense. That writing in APA made sense. So now we know what they decided. So this is a noun clause. So we have here, we have a dependent clause. We have a dependent clause. A dependent, I'll put here dependent noun clause. A dependent noun clause. All right? This dependent noun clause functions as the direct object. They decided what? It answered the question what? They decided what? That writing in APA made sense. So that we got information on what they decided. What? Answers the question what? This is an independent clause, dependent noun clause. Now let's get more information. Why did they decide? Why did they decide? Oh, because it was clear, concise, and objective. So you have because of that here. It was clear, concise. So this is an adverbial clause of reason modifying the verb decided. So let's draw here. Because this clause, this adverbial clause of reason modifies the verb decided. Why did they? All right. Why did they decide? We know that they decided. Right? What did they decide? That the writing in APA made sense. Now we know why they decided. Why did they decide? The adverbial clause of reason answers that because it was clear, concise, and objective. So we're going to put here the dependent clause, adverbial clause of reason. All right? So we have, so what type of sentence is this? There's 4 sentence structures. Once again, simple sentence, 1 independent clause. Compound sentence, 2 independent clauses. Complex sentence, 1 independent clause or 1 or more dependent clauses. A compound complex sentence, 2 independent clauses, 2 independent clauses, and 1 or more dependent clauses. So this is a compound complex sentence. It has 2 independent clauses and 2 dependent clauses. Now this here with pizza and soda at hand is a prepositional phrase. This prepositional phrase, all right, with pizza and soda at hand. So this is not part of the lesson here. I'm going to stay just with the lesson, all right, by identifying the clauses. This class will be addressing clauses, noun clauses, adjective clauses, and adverbial clauses. All right, so this is the type of instructions, that level instructions that you'll be getting. So once again, you go to unitedrepublicofmorocco.com and click on Academy of Providence, Enroll now this Thursday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 12 consecutive through impact, brain stimulating, thought provoking, intensified, challenging, analysis, a lot of analysis, sentence analysis. So this is the type of sentence analysis. All right, you will class material, there'll be homework. All right, we know the classes are via Zoom as well as in class. The classes are recorded. So you can't make it Thursday. So, well, I work on Thursday or I won't be able to make it Thursday. That's all right. The classes are recorded. So therefore you can watch it the next day or during the weekend. And the classes, like they're always their homework assignments, their class materials, and the recorded courses class will be uploaded to the OneNote. All right. So looking forward to seeing you this Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, on Wednesdays, we've been doing this for about 3 months, almost 3 months. Every Wednesday, we started on March 31st. Join the Moorish Restoration Caucus on Zoom for weekly provincial body politic formation and education to aid in the restoration of our Moorish Appeal Divan. That's every Wednesday, time 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Meeting ID 827-6795-2508. Password 1217453. That's meeting ID 827-6795-2508. Password 217453. You all, this flyer has been posted for almost 3 months on Abdullah Bey's Facebook page, Moorish Civil Letter Facebook page, United Republic of Morocco's Facebook page, as well as United Republic of Morocco.com website. All right, share it. All right, looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday. All right, at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We dealing with government formation, government principles. All right. So I want to definitely thank you all for riding this bus with us today. We trust that this was illuminating, thought-provoking, as well as challenge you mentally, challenge you into a way to get you to be involved in your Moorish, in the reclamation of our Moorish estates through government structure and the reestablishment of diplomatic relations with the treaty nations and the principles of reversion to sovereignty as we deposit our instrument, as we re-enter the international community as an old and original state, not as a new state, but as an old and original state. Mother is recognized, but her children don't recognize her. Mother is recognized, but her children don't recognize her. Where are her children? Where are her children? Come on, children. Mother cries out. Come on, children. Mother cries out. Where are her children? The international community is waiting as mother flies, as there are obligations, stipulations in the treaty, but only her children, through government structure, can enforce those treaties on the Moorish side. But she needs her children. Her arms are open, but her children are not coming to her. Our children can only come to her through government structure. Where are our children? So I want to thank you for riding this bus with us. We greatly appreciate you all. All right? We're looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday for the Moorish government formation classes. Thank you again. So once again, To enroll in the course, you go to UnitedRepublicOfMorocco.com and click on Academy of Providence. Looking forward to see you on Wednesday for the Moorish formation classes, as well as on Thursday for our first. This is the first class of 12 of the Hooked on Grammar 201. All right, thank you. Peace, everyone.